So we're going to take a look at how we calculate the time it takes to complete a leg. So I've created two videos for this, one using the CRP, which is this one, and one using a calculator. So depending which way you've come to it, you may or may not have seen the calculator video yet. So what I would say is the reason I've done this is there's two methods of calculating this, and I would encourage you to have a go at both and use a method that works for you. So in this method we're going to use the CRP. So with a bit of practice you can become really quite quick and quite competent with the CRP, and actually with a bit of practice there's almost smoke coming off it. You can spin it around that quickly and come to the answers quickly. There are a couple of gotchas in using the CRP, and I'm just going to kind of talk through some of those as we do it. So we've got this scenario. Our ground speed is 112 knots, so that's the key number that we need, is 112 ground speed, not the true airspeed. We're interested in how fast we're going to cross the ground, and we want to cover 23 nautical miles. So the first thing we're going to do is start with the little arrow with a 60 on it, and that's often the starting point when using the CRP, and I'm going to spin that to 112. So if I just zoom in a little bit. So this is kind of my first gotcha, I think, was if you're in a bit of a rush, 112, you spin it to 12, that gives us the wrong answer. So we just need to just take a moment and just check in what we're doing. So the thing with the CRP and why it's so clever but equally can make us get to the wrong answer is this could be calculating 100 knots, it could be calculating 10 knots, it could be calculating 1,000 knots. So we can add or take away zeros off of any of these numbers. So for the purposes of what we're doing 112 knots. So there's 100 knots, there's 110 knots, there's 120 knots. So we're 110, 11, 112 knots. So we're going to line up the 60 with 112. So that's our starting point. We then need to look for the distance. So the distance is on the outer scale, and we've got that handy little line that we can spin round on the CRP, and we're going to spin that all the way round to 23. And if I zoom in and spin that round, you can see I've lined up 23 and the time is in the middle, but the time on the CRP is in decimals still. So we've got 12 minutes, 12.5 minutes and 13 minutes. So if we zoom in and have a close look, we can see it's 12.1, 2, 3, about 12.35 minutes, okay? But that's not 12 minutes 35 seconds, that's 12.35 minutes. So we need to convert that. A couple of ways of doing this. So the first way we can do it, and if we're fairly confident with numbers, and we can remember this method, it's fairly straightforward again once you've practiced it a good few times. So whatever comes after the decimal, we're going to times by 60. And that converts that 0.35 into seconds. So I'm going to do 0.35 times by 60. That then equals 21 seconds. So our answer is 12 minutes, 21 seconds. The other method of doing that is using the scientific calculator, and if you've seen my other video first, you'll have probably guessed I'm going to come to this. So a scientific calculator will have a button, a hour, minute and second button, okay? And that's really, really key, a really, really useful button for lots of things in aviation. So what I can do is type in 12.35, hit equals. We're then going to hit our hour, minute, second button, and there we go, 12 minutes 21 seconds. That's again a really, really quick way if you've got that scientific calculator handy, which you can use in your PPL exams, and those of you going on to do commercial exams, you'll absolutely need a scientific calculator for one of them as well, so it's worth getting familiar with that calculator. Okay, and there's our answer, 12 minutes 21 seconds.